Good morning, everyone. This morning, I wanted to take a different approach about what's occurring in America. We understand that we're on track to essentially match the same numbers of mass shootings of last year, but with more fatalities. This is very important because we need to understand that some may believe that it's propaganda, some may believe that this is the new age genocide of melanated people, and most likely Black Americans, the ones who fight for their rights, the ones who stand up against injustices, the ones who protest, the ones who lobby for equality, justice, and of course, the main thing that America owes us is reparations. But nonetheless, they would like to put a black face on mass shootings and mass killings, which is a very large difference between the two, ladies and gentlemen, because we understand that a mass shooting, according to the gun violence archives, is 4 people simply getting shot versus a mass killing where people are actually being killed. But again, they would like to put a black face. And this is propaganda to the least bit, but is anyone familiar with the King Alfred's Plan? But before we get there, I believe it's important for us to understand what these mass shootings and mass killings and how they're depicted and how the corporate mass media is putting a black face, knowing that only 0.0% of mass shootings actually occur and are invoked by Black Americans. But before then, let's pay the bills.
Black America. While we celebrate symbolism of having a black woman in the White House and a black woman in the Supreme Court, right now as we speak, black women are the most likely to lose their house. Black men have the shortest lives, black children have the highest suicide rate, and even though we are around 15 to 20% of the population, we are over 55% of those living in the streets. We are going to be third-class citizens in the nation we built. We better wake up and vote for real policy. Vote for Greg Marcel Dixon. Repair Black America to fix.
Exactly. So first, family, let's first depict and look at some of the mass shootings that has occurred and that's been occurring at the top of the year here, which is very, very important for us to understand, and the locations of a lot of these mass shootings. And I know that you guys are familiar essentially with this picture here. If you notice, majority of the mass shootings are in red states, mostly Republican states. Of course, there's some Democratic states here and there. We see Washington and Oregon and California as well. But we have to depict a lot where people are essentially, don't take my guns, keep your hands off my guns. I'm still trying to figure out, even though we have state-to-state militias, we have the National Guard, we have the CIA, the FBI, we have the U.S. Marshals, U.S. Park Service. We are the most policed country in the world. But nonetheless, we have the most violence in the world. We have more violence than even third world countries. And we're going to depict that. We're going to show that. We're going to display that here today. I think it's very important that we understand the construct and the environment in which we operate, in which we live, where we try to grow our families. And that's why on some accords you see mass exiting from the citizens of America going to other countries, not just Black Americans, by the way, but white Americans as well. So as we look at this story here, now ABC thought it would be intelligent enough to show propaganda and put a black face on the rhetoric that they display at their propaganda news media channel. So I want you guys to take a gander here. I want you to listen and actually how they put a black face on mass shootings. Okay? Listen to this, family. Fair use, fair use.
Brad, when you look at this most recent shooting in Pittsburgh,
of course, we're having technical difficulties all of a sudden, But nonetheless, they're referring to the mass shooting that occurred in Pittsburgh, which was at an Airbnb. Okay. This is an Airbnb. Supposedly, reportedly, and suspectedly, there was over 200 people at this Airbnb, in which two 70-year-old young black men were killed, and a couple other were injured. Now
A
they're calling this
manhunt
a
is
mass
still
shooting.
underway for multiple suspects.
So I'm just going to pause this. I see that all of a sudden that the internet is slowing down. I guess that's haphazardly, but we'll just read the story a little bit here. Over the holiday weekend, 12 people were shot at a Columbia, South Carolina mall. Now, this is the story previous than the actual video that they're showing. Now, what they're not telling you here, automatically they have already painted the story as a mass shooting. But what they won't tell you is that this is gang violence. Okay, that's the difference between the violence within the black community and the violence in the white community. A lot of times when we look at mass shootings and mass killings, the huge difference is black people, black Americans are not going to public places to kill random innocent people, men, women, and children alike. That is not our culture. That's not who we are. So I'm tired of the white corporate media painting a face on mass shootings and mass killings as this is usual in the black community. This is not. Now, and of course, in any shooting, you have the chance of innocent bystanders getting wounded. So anyway, over the holiday weekend, 12 people were shot at Columbia, South Carolina mall in nearby Hampton County. 9 people were shot outside a nightclub in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 2 juveniles were killed and 8 were injured after a shooting at a birthday party. Now, both of these incidents involve black shooters, and this is what I'm referring to. Out of all the shootings that occurred this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, I believe there were 6 in total, ABC thought by painting a black face that this will go unnoticed by the black community and that we wouldn't report on it. But damn you, ABC, and your racist rhetoric on your channel. We are watching you and how you're painting these mass shootings and mass killings on black people. Because out of all the news story, you picked the 2 that was simply gang violence and not these gunmen going out and killing random innocent people. That's not who we are, family. That's not who we are. And I will tell you this, a lot of these mass shootings that has black face, and I hate to talk about my immigrant brothers and sisters across the pond, but a lot of these mass shootings have been done by immigrants. But nonetheless, I digress on those accounts. But I want to point out one word here, and I'm being petty. That's right, I'm being petty this morning. Because all of a sudden my internet is slowing down. I had 100 plus megabytes of speed, but now it has declined very, very rapidly. I want you to key on a term juvenile. Now, in layman's terms, juvenile just means a young person. But we understand in the white media what juvenile actually means. It actually means someone who is going to be incarcerated and someone who has been incarcerated. They never just say two teenagers were killed. Why use the word juvenile? I think it's very important how they paint black people in general. They don't call us teenagers. They don't call us young men. They call us juveniles and convicts. And these 16-year-old and 17-year-old were men. This is how they paint us. So again, I'm gonna give the definition here. I'm gonna point it over here. Here we go. I'm gonna give you the definition for juvenile. Now, no pun intended, they have Juvenile the rapper up here, but that's not related. It says relating to young people, and it also states a young person. And then I dove a little deeper down here. Does juvenile mean child? It says, what is the definition of a juvenile person? It states that a juvenile person who has not attained his 18th birthday in juvenile delinquency is a violation of a law of the United States committed by a person prior to his 18th birthday, which had been a crime if committed by an adult. And this is according to the federal government. This is what they label as juvenile. So you're telling me that ABC are labeling 2 young teenagers at a party who got killed, who are juvenile delinquent, okay, and they were in violation of a law. This is how America defines black people. Time and time again, we have to show this so you are informed, so you are educated, so you understand the construct in which you are living in. This is not propaganda. This is not fiction. This is just reality. Pittsburgh shooting. Once again, News 4 is stating putting a black face on the killings. And here are the two juveniles, quote unquote, that were killed. Two 17-year-olds identified by Arlington County Medical Examiner Office at 17-year-old Matthew Steffi Ross and 17-year-old Jaden Brown. These were the two young, beautiful black men who were killed during this house party at an Airbnb. And once again, there was a dispute of some sort, and it's most related to some agreements. It wasn't that the gunman or the gunmen were simply trying to kill innocent people. But that's the way that the white media corporation has chopped it up to be. Again, let's move on. Here's the face of mass killings and mass shootings of America. Here are the mass shootings. Here are the gunmen of those mass shootings. So if I was to go and count, and not to repeat the same faces over and over again, we can possibly say probably 1 in every 200 mass shootings in America are a black American versus a immigrant and also a non-black American. But yet again, they put a black face on mass killings and shootings here in America. It states here on this NYC shooting of the 16-year-old black man, at least 23 people were injured in a shooting rampage on a New York City subway car and station platform on Tuesday, with police hunting a gunman described as wearing a gas mask and construction vest, according to local authorities. It states here, they said 10 of the injured suffered gunshot wounds, with 5 in critical but stable conditions following the mass shooting during the morning rush hour in the city's borough of Brooklyn. This is the difference, family, between a mass shooting and gun violence. Okay, gun violence is the story that I just said versus this particular. Now, this guy simply went out to cause mass catastrophe. He wanted to create chaos. He didn't have any subject in sight. He simply wanted to kill people. That's the difference. Okay, so again, 1 in every 200 of these so-called gun violence within the last 2 years have been black Americans simply wanting to hurt, wound, and kill innocent people. These are the numbers. But again, if you're not watching these stories and you're only watching mass media like ABC, NBC, MSNBC, Fox News, and CNN, and those, you're not getting the local stories of all the violence that occurs in the white community. You will continue to say, oh, what about black on black violence? Stop watching CNN. Stop watching ABC. And if you really want the news, go to your local news stations and you will see the difference. Again, Chicago mass shooting. Let's see if we can get some video here. Rapid gunfire.
Nearly 24 bullets fired into a crowd of people outside of the McDonald's at Chicago and State around 10:40 Thursday night.
Let me pause it right here, family. Have you guys noticed that when it comes to gun violence of a black American, that they have video footage, that they have pictures of the gunshots, but when it comes to non-black Americans, you really don't have any evidence or any proof on most cases. Not all, but most cases. Let me continue. All right, again, we're having slow down speeds here. Let's see if we can get this jumping. All right, I'm not going to stay here because I see what's going on. All right, let's just do a little bit of definitions here. Fiction. Fiction is any creative work, chiefly in any narrative work, portraying individual events or places in ways that are imaginary or inconsistent with history, fact, or plausibility. That's fiction. Okay, that is fiction. These are the 3 gunmen at the mall shooting in Columbia, South Carolina. Okay. These are 3 gunmen. Now, do you believe that they simply went out to kill innocent people, or do you believe that this was gang related? So if you actually read the story, you will understand this was gang related. I'll move on. But of course, they would like to put black face on mass shootings and mass killings, and that is not the case. Propaganda, information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. Propaganda is communication that is primarily used to influence or persuade an audience to further an agenda, which may not be objective and may be selectively presenting facts to encourage a particular behavior. This is where you get your Coons and Sambos talking about black on black violence, where there's more violence in the non-black community than there are in all the other communities. Let's be real here. Professor Black Truth every Friday does a crime report to depict the degeneracy in the non-black community, to show you how mass media propagandize the black community and put us on face of the violence here in America. And we only contribute to 1.3% of the violent acts here in America. Where's the other 99% go? Where does the other 99% go, ladies and gentlemen? Now, reality is the sum or aggregate of that is real or existent within a system, as opposed to that which is only imaginary. The term is also used to refer to the ontology status of things, indicating their existence. The world or state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to idealistic or notional idea of them. That's the difference. That's the difference, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you guys are not familiar with the King Alfred's Plan, I believe that you should. Now, John A. Williams, a Black American back in the 60s, wrote a piece about King Alfred's Plan. And it states that it is a fictional CIA-led scheme supporting an international effort to eliminate people of African descent. That means if you have that one drop rule applies. I don't care if you are Afro-Latina, Afro-American, Afro-Scottish, whatever it may be. If you have black blood, this quote-unquote fictional story, CIA-led scheme to support an international effort, that means killing and eliminating African descendant people around the world. They said it was invented by the author John A. Williams in his novel, The Man Who Cried, I Am. It states that Williams describes it as a government plan to deal with the threat of a black uprising in the United States by cording off black people into concentration camps in the event of a major racial incident. But let's take it further. Now, if we start to place black people in concentration camps, they're still alive. They still have fight. So what is the best thing that we can do? We can start to exterminate African descended people around the world. And let's start with the most powerful of them all, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, U.S. freedmen, those American descendants of American slavery. Let's start with them. Let's start with them. Because these are the Negroes who stand up for themselves. These are the Negroes who fight back. These are the Negroes who protest in the street and start to cause worldwide havoc across the melanated community and fight for justice wherever country they may be. Black Americans, we need to attack them first. And this is not far-fetched, ladies and gentlemen. Quote unquote fictional. What I really think that the author was doing here was basically foresighting what was going to occur, what is occurring, and that you should be aware of. Because it said CIA, right? We know about the COINTELPRO. We know what the CIA did there. ladies and gentlemen, in this book, Williams compares the King Alfred Plan to intelligent programs designed and devised by J. Edgar Hoover in the 1960s to monitor the movements of Black militants. See, anytime that Black people organize themselves, stand up for themselves, they call us Black militants. See, remember, Malcolm X wasn't one of the leaders of the Nation of Islam. He was a Black militant. Huey Newton and those of the Black Panther Party, they wasn't an organized group to help and assist the Black community and teach them to stand up and fight for themselves by carrying guns. No. That wasn't it. They were Black militants. That goes into Black militants. That goes into Black nationalists. That goes into Black terrorists, right? You see how we can lead into these terms, how we can interchangeably transform these terms to something very derogatory or very demonic. And then we start having Black people look at one another and say, you are the cause of crime, Black on Black crime. I simply call those coons because they're not aware of the situation in which we live in. That's right. And again, if you guys want to go and read this piece, it's a very, very powerful piece. The Man Who Cried I Am, again, quote unquote, supposed to be a fictional novel here that depicts the CIA-led scheme supporting international effort to eliminate people of African descent. In my opinion, I do not believe this is a fictional story. I believe that this is Williams, the author. I believe this is his foresight and his prediction of what was going to occur. But this has transformed something very deadly, because a lot of these mass shootings, outside of the ones that were in the Hispanic white community, as well as some white communities, were directly involved in Black people. Now, outside of gang violence and some of these gun shootings that were not mass shootings or mass killings, were directly caused by quote unquote suspected white supremacists in Black neighborhoods and targeting Black people. See, immigrants come from this country, from the Caribbean, from Central America, from South America, even from Europe, as well as the continent of Africa, thinking and knowing that coming to America will provide better opportunities. Well, as they would say in the investment world, no risk, no reward. So you're going to risk your life and limb of coming to America for a better opportunity and better chances and better conditions by the cause of your life, because you have to understand the social and racial construct in America, thinking that you are different, but you look just like your counterparts, quote unquote, your descendants from the continent of Africa, Black Americans. See, we are different people in a lot of regards. Now, we have African blood. We understand that our forefathers and ancestors derived from the African continent, but we are a different culture. We are a different people. We are just different in total because of our mindsets. See, we were never necessarily colonized. We have been assimilated, which is a very different definition of them both. And that's what we need to understand, the major difference. See, anytime that the colonizers came to the continent of Africa as well as the Caribbean, they set up shop. They control your governments. They control your infrastructure. They control your medical systems. They control every aspect of your country. Where in America, they had us under lock and chain. And then release of slavery in 1865, they congregated us in segregated neighborhoods. But we then rule our own economics. When you were colonized in the continent of Africa, when you was colonized in the Caribbean, when you was colonized in Central America and South America, they control the social economic climate within the continent, within your country, within your state and district. That has never occurred for us. We have a history of controlling our own economics. And every time that Black Americans formed and organized and built businesses and built the entire wealth of this country, the system of white supremacy found out a way to essentially take the legs from out under the table. I don't understand, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not trying to go against our cousins from across the lake. I'm not trying to point them out, but I really need to make this point. I have no idea, not all, but a lot of our immigrant brothers and sisters come over here with hate in their heart for Black Americans. And I know a lot of that has been manipulation from your parents, your loved ones, your family members. And you don't even understand the social climate in America and why we are the way we are. Understand the fight, understand the struggle, understand what we go through in the system of white supremacy before you open your fucking mouth. This is the problem that we here have in America, where we have the race soldiers killing and essentially setting us up for all sorts of degeneracies and crimes. And we also have our Black brothers and sisters, our immigrant brothers and sisters, our coons and sambos, our traitors and turncoats doing the exact same thing. So understand, family, that all of these mass shootings and how they're painting a black face on these mass shootings and killings. And understand the opposing forces that Black Americans have on all sides, not just by the system of white supremacy, not just by the thugs with badges, but also those who look like you and I, whether they be from this continent or another. Enjoy your Friday. I see my brother Ricky Manda. Thank you, Jermaine Anderson, for commentating, as well as Quap Man, Hip Hop Hustle. You guys have a great and wonderful day. I'm out.